Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather. Today I'm meteorologist Al Peterlin, and I'd like to talk about the weather health risk for December 4th, 2025. We do keep additional graphics at tpatw.com, and we do have a website on Amazon, Patient Weather, and if you go through our shop making your purchase, you'll be supporting Patient Weather. Looking at the weather front for the 4th, and you can see still basically high pressure at the surface, but there are upper level storms across the north, stretching all the way from the Pacific Northwest to the Great Lakes, and you can see a lot of moisture across the Pacific Northwest, the northern high plains, and up toward the Great Lakes, even a little lingering still in New England. And then a good swath of moisture, more liquid than anything else, across the southeast. The only front that we have that's active is that warm front stretching from San Antonio to New Orleans and over to Tampa, or actually Miami in this case, and there is that unsettled weather there in the southeast. Looking at our vitality index, which is a measure of all of the components of weather that can impact human health, you can see we're basically focused at the northern plains. We have that line stretching all the way from Texas up to Michigan and on into southeastern Canada, and then a little bit of that activity again centered right along the Gulf Coast. Pressure change is always important for many people with arthritis to migraine, and you can see we have falling pressure stretching from western Montana, just cutting across eastern Montana and eastern Wyoming, and then up the plains from Nebraska through the Dakotas and covering much of Minnesota. Rising pressure will be the issue, literally from portions of the Four Corners, but mostly from Texas across Oklahoma into Arkansas, Missouri, and up into the upper Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, Michigan, and picking up portions of Ohio and New York State. Temperature change, of course, very interesting, but the east is already brutally suffering, but you can still see that we're having a new shot of cold air stretching from Texas up into the upper portions of the Ohio Valley and into New York and trying to push into New England. Note we have just a touch of warming, and that is just a touch of warming up the northern plains from Nebraska through the Dakotas. Dew point temperatures, again, very much the same thing. We have that cold air reinforced in that line from Texas to Michigan, warming dew point temperatures in the Dakotas. And note that we are picking up significant increase in moisture right there along the Gulf where we were talking about that front that would be trying to lift. Looking at POI, or the availability of oxygen in the atmosphere, our risk of migraine for the 4th will be up across from New Mexico into Colorado, and then again in that same line from Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, and then across Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, picking up New York, and really then sort of slightly less, but still picking up almost all of New England. And of course, the significant migraine risk is all of those Canadian cities from Windsor all the way up to Quebec. Looking at asthma and arthritis, that is focused mainly up the plains, again, Nebraska to the Dakotas, picking up portions of Minnesota, but Minnesota here and Montana to the west. We also have that risk of asthma and arthritis along that Gulf area we were talking, New Orleans, all the way down through Florida, but we're also picking up a risk of asthma and arthritis here in the Carolinas, and we have a spotty risk of asthma and arthritis up here in the Pacific Northwest. Thanks for visiting the patient and the weather. Your comments are appreciated, and if you hurt, let us know where you're located. And don't forget, if you shop through Amazon, we have our Patient Weather websites there, and if you use our shop for purchases, it supports Patient Weather.